Metaphor. Yeah. Ake sithi ukuthinta kancane iy'ndaba zasemzini yabantu. Siyashaya sadlula because I would dare not concern myself ngendaba zemizi. Eme phezu kwe lento nithini phezu kwesihlabathi. Really should not concern me. But I wanted to touch a bit on it because it goes to our ingqikithi of gatekeeping. And as I was saying to you before on our last chat, you need to have a system where you protect yourselves and your knowledge and all the things that are of value to you as a community. So that goes hand in hand with having a sort of brotherhood, you know. So I want to talk a bit more on the brotherhoods, in particular the brotherhood of the lodge. So if you don't know what that means, so stay tuned. We're gonna just go a bit into detail about with that. Yeah. Imanga nje siyibonayo lapha phandle siyabona lapha na bathwesana iqo. And I'm wondering ukuthi abantu laba bakashembe, do they know the symbolism behind that? Because essentially it means dog is saying ukuthi the Shemberino was not allowed to faka isigqoko in the palace, which means that Shemberino was essentially a lackey. So kamanye amazwi ungaphansi kwenkosi yamaZulu. Manje njengoba simupha isigqoko ukuthi asigqoke ekhanda simnikeze imvume yokugqoka isigqoko usho ukuthi ke uNkulunkulu wengane is now equal to inkosi yamaZulu. That's what it means. I'm just defining. I'm wondering what the Shemberino people understand this now and what it means. And are they okay with that? Because if they say Ushembe is a deity, as they purport, then that would be a very huge insult to their faith and religion. Ukuthi abamkhonzayo uthathwa njenge lekhi by inkosi. Because what essentially was happening there was someone who was being knighted, and the knighting and the foundation of the word knight comes from a boy servant, a lekhi, the follower of the king. You do the research. I'm just wondering if the people bayifunde kahle in their situation leyana, because 1 + 1 is equal to 6 njengamanje. But as I want to talk about the brotherhoods. So if you want to know about the brotherhoods, I would suggest that you look up omunye umkhulu ekuthiwa Jordan Maxwell. He will tell you, I've said this before, look at Jordan Maxwell, search for him on YouTube, learn everything he has to teach you about symbolism, symbols, the different fraternities, you know, the different ring cults, the different lodges of Freemasonry, all those things. If you can have the patience to listen to that old man, because it's very boring, Take your time and listen to him, and he will lay it out for you. He has time. But if you don't have time to listen to him, then I'll suggest that you read some books of, for example, there's a book by, I think the most entertaining one you can do is just go through all of Dan Brown's books from the, which one? The Da Vinci Code. Yeah, I think start from that one. I will also bring some of them, the books that I have, because I would cause them my titles. I'll probably go and find them in my storage and show you here, especially the one that was written by a former Mason himself. So the brotherhoods of the lodges are what you call the Freemasons. Some of you are sitting here, you are part of that fraternity. I know for a fact, because you tend to be able to tell who is part of the brotherhood by their income bracket, especially, and their level of education. You see, once you start wearing the gown red, then they are coming for you. Once you start going into the golden key, what's the word? Hey, sabalek. But le group here, golden key, the children who ace their modules at university, who always do a cum laude, the Golden Key Society. Once you are part of that clique, you are definitely going to be going into Freemasonry. So even graduating in itself, I've said it before, the fact that you are graduating, it's called a degree for a reason. And there are degrees in Freemasonry. Okay? You go and you listen to Jordan Maxwell, they explain to you all these different degrees. But what I want to address, Mina, is the occultic side of it, because I'm pretty sure, Uti, most of the Masons don't even know what exactly it is that they are part of. Because the recruitment goes in like, oh no, we are just like-minded people, well accomplished. We want to be useful to society, so let's come together and be a club. That's why you find there's a club. There's a Port Natal Freemasonry club there. Go Pulwa Road. There's a Port Natal Freemason Lodge Pezulu on Berea. Then there's another one by where's the stadium Gambe? Shark Bunny. The stadium, this is Summer Sharks, man. It's called. Yeah. I think it's not Ellis Park. No, it's not Ellis Park. But yes, there is a lodge there. I remember the building corner in Misa corner and Freemasonry lodge there. So they target these individuals that they feel are clever, whether they are black or not. I think they are more open to taking blacks now. But because there are degrees in this thing, please like the video if you're here. Don't just sit there. That's the only way you can contribute effectively. So because there are different degrees of Freemasonry, there's you graduate slowly by slowly. They have their own criteria that you have to meet. Then you can move to this degree, to that degree, to that degree, up to a point where you move to a master mason, and then you start going into that one where you can wear a ring. And then you become the Brotherhood of the Ring. But all of them fall under the lodge, and there are different rites of this Freemasonry thing. There's a Scottish rite, there's that rite, there's this rite. And it didn't begin now that there's the English. No. It predates the English, because even the foundation of Rome, the different ruling families of Rome were pretty much a brotherhood of the lodge. And this is why you would have the Roman Council, able to literally take out a leader in cold blood in front of everyone, and nobody does anything, because all of them in that Senate were part of the same group. They were equal. And then you probably find that the Roman emperors who decided to be like, okay, you know what, I'm part of Laba. He would gather his armies and he would literally, take things in gun. And they would be very specific with those kind of emperors. They would call them dictators. Like what's his name? That Marcus Julius Caesar, and before him there was Marcus Aurelius, and then before him there was Camillus Marcus Furius, who was the second founder of Rome. What is unique about Camillus Marcus Furius, the Fury family, is that it is suggested that the Fury family has origins in the sense of team. They were black people there. And the funny thing about Camillus in particular is that he would dictate Rome. He would leave, abdicate, Abashe, Senate must take over. They take over, they start ruining everything. Base collapse futhi. Abantu bahambe bebuza Camillus come. Sebemoshile futhi, and then he will come back. He was a dictator more than 7 times, until he retired. So there was also those people who were just very good at running the show. But they despised the Brotherhood, and they would try to exist outside of it. And the Brotherhood was very harsh in criticizing them. And you find that you never even hear much about the Fury family who founded Rome. You don't hear about them. You have to really, literally research it. But you hear about Julius Caesar. You hear about Marcus Aurelius. But those people will come much later in the foundation of the empire of Rome. But that's just the history. So even the Roman Senate itself was a brotherhood of the Lodge. Even before the Roman Senate, there was the Greek, oligarchy. There was also the brotherhood. And it had different provinces, and you find that the Spartans were taken to be more of a militarian, very strange people that we don't really like to associate with, but they are the beating heart of our war machine, And what is most important here is, with all these brotherhoods, there is a thing that is always consistent amongst them, and that is a ritual. They have particular rituals. We'll get into that one. I want to go into the foundations of the Brotherhood of the Lodge, and tell you some of the things that the Brotherhood probably doesn't even know about its origins. They talk about Harim Abiyef, or whatever they call him, because they try to imagine themselves as a lodge of masons that was founded by people who were builders. It has nothing to do with building. They never built a damn thing. So that's why they're always having this ritual. When they set up a lodge, there's this ritual of putting a cornerstone. And especially in buildings where the owners of that building are Freemasons, they would issue out and carry out a ritual before the building of that particular thing, goes to a particular level, So when you are building a new building, they will come in, they'll do the ritual of setting up the cornerstone. Angazi ukuthi-ke niyayazi ukuthi nayo i-cornerstone into enjani. But You must look at some of your old buildings, especially in the big cities. Look at some of the old buildings and look for a cornerstone. The cornerstone will probably have a plaque written there. You will see kubhaliwe ukuthi it was built ngesikhathi sokuthi by usibanibane, but somewhere lapha ezansi bese kuba khona isymbolism ye-Freemasonry, you know. And it was common practice to lay the cornerstone. I'm not sure if they're still doing it now, you know. But most of the buildings that are specifically pre-1994, and bridges as well, they tend to have plaques that have a signature like Byzantium of the G in the square and campus, you know. So they imagine themselves in the eyes of the public. You know, the story they like to tell is, well, it was founded by people who were builders, and consequently, we prefer to have people who have skills, who are useful, who are masters of their craft, you know, craftsmen. This is the thing that they like to project, when in actual fact it has nothing to do with it. The story of Haruma Beef, who is supposedly a stonemason who was murdered at the temple that was being built in Jerusalem. Some of them even make it go back to he was the temple of the, you know, they were trying to build a temple for Pharaoh, and he was murdered by someone. And that's where the thing came from. They don't necessarily tell you, okay, what does his murder have to do with starting a group? What does it have to do with starting a group? Why would the murder of someone have to do with starting the group? Now, they may not know, but they may know. But in reality, what happened was a group of Abatagati from ancient times, who had been trying very hard to penetrate Ikemu, to obtain the knowledge and wisdom of the ancient people of Kemu, who were building extraordinary things. Some of them even called it Atlantis for some strange reason. So this bunch of Batagatis, who had been working hard to try and penetrate and couldn't penetrate, eventually came upon the idea of stealing a crown prince, a young boy, and they murdered him. And upon murdering him, they took his body all the way to Europe, where they buried him as part of the foundation of that building. So they laid a stone up on top of his body, and that was the foundation of the power of Rome. That ritual that was done was ukutwesa itshe phezu kwalengane, and through his blood and his life, they bought themselves the power to rule and become, you know, what's the word? A flourishing, you know, group of people. Remember, I said like the video. Let's not do this. Let's try and get this video, you know, videos liked so that people can see them. So you don't have to go and share the video all the time. You know, I know it's a lot of work. So let the algorithm do its work so that ngoba ngiyabafuna labantu kunabantu engibafunayo ukuthi basondele basheshe basondele so that we can move forward. Mele uthi mawushaya nje 2026 so be part of our group so that soqala unyaka nabo, especially since we are going towards this ritual yokuchithwa kotshwala. This is 2 people. They will stumble upon the videos, but if you don't really like the videos, then you know, yes, you're delaying us. So ithwalo ke laqala kanjani? And this twalo is told in many different ways. The Freemasons talk about Uharima Bifu was murdered. The Christians talk about the Cain murdering his brother, whom he murdered and buried somewhere, but his blood was saying something to Ubra Creator, Ubra God. So they say. These are the stories. And they're literally talking about the same thing. It's amazing. The people who were writing the holy books were the one and the same people. But it should be obvious, Moba. If you understand Christianity, you know that Paul invented Christianity, and Paul was one of the Masons, the master Masons from the Roman. Him and his brothers of the lodge saw this guy who was going around there and what have you, and built a myth around him to create a new set of rituals to continue. Because also you must not forget, Uti, there's a thing called sun worship. Sun worship has nothing to do with Africans or the Egyptians. What you are reading on the walls there that has to do with the sun, you must pay attention, Uti. Much earlier on, the sun was on its own. And then somewhere in the middle of the kingdom, then the sun started becoming inside of a serpent. So the serpent had swallowed the sun. Then that became much more prominent in terms of the cliffs. There's a message there that you must understand, because the secrets of wisdom are double to that which is, So the elders put that in stone so that when you come here, you remember, the skull and bones are part of it. The skull and bones are fraternities inside of universities. I've said in the previous video, what is interesting is that you have these fraternities, or Alpha, Kappa, what, Peshe. I don't know if you have them in this country. The only fraternity I know about in this country that we have in university is the Golden Key Society that I was talking about. But in places like America, especially, this one is from Yale, the Skull and Bones. The Skull and Bones is from Yale University. And what essentially happens is, ama fraternities at Yale have different lodgings. So rest, Skull and Bones is over there, and certain people form part of that Skull and Bones. You have to be accepted into it. And consequently, people talk about how interesting it is that the presidents who were part of this, seems like the Skull and Bones are consistently overrepresented in the presidency in America. That's what they were saying. It seems like most of the presidents are coming out of that Skull and Bones. So what's going on with that? And then essentially what then becomes is that Lema Skull and Bones, of course, they grow up and become part of the Freemasons. When they graduate, they start going into the lodges and become full-time, proper Freemasons. But yes, the foundation of the fraternity and all these things starts there with the fraternities in Escoli, So, as I was saying, you find Uti, the sun worship has nothing to do with Abantu Bamnyama, as they claim. But here you find Paul inventing an entire set of rituals that correlate to sun worship eyayenziwa ama-Roma nama-Greek before. And he puts a touch of a ritual Dionysus. I've said this before many times. Christianity is just a cult of Dionysus. There's nothing really interesting there. But this just tells you, Uguti, how deep these dudes who are in these cults, in these brotherhoods are. How serious they are about what they are trying to achieve. just trying to paint that picture. In terms of gatekeeping, be mindful. You may need to develop a sort of fraternal thing that's going to try and control the agenda and make sure ukuthi ayibuyele ekutheni sigqilazwe amabhunu nabelungu nemandiya nani. Yabo lonto. And I'm highlighting this because you need to see ukuthi whatever is going on in the system, because Naba Belung didn't just get up and say, okay, we are going out to colonize. There was a round table that sat and spoke about it and decided. And they knew exactly where its sheep needs to go and what they're going to find there and who they were looking for, who they were going to genocide and for what. There was no exploring of anything. They were not just curious. Oh, we're just curious. Let's see how far the sea goes. Everybody knew how far the sea goes and how it went. Nobody believed that there was the edge of the sea. Everybody knew that if you go somewhere, you'll find another and some of other people. They knew it. Particularly the Vikings who were busy up and down. Mind you, before even the Vikings set sail, the Chinese had big ships before. Even the Egyptians have ancient ships. They found in tombs models of ships. And ship making was a thing. Even came Tala. So what the hell were they talking about? No, we just explore the entire fleets of Agamemnon, what you call this, in Troy. Ships. So there was no exploration of any kind that happened. People knew exactly what they were looking for, and they went to there, and they found those people that they were looking for, and cut off their heads, and went and buried them in Europe to go back to Indoga Harima beef. This is why they were so obsessed with cutting off the heads of your kings, because they know ukuthi yenziwa kanjani lento. Most of the white people who are normal people don't know the secret. They don't know the secret of the foundation, the secret of the cornerstone. That's what the Brotherhood of the Lodge is about. I don't know if the Brotherhood knows, but that's what they're about. They're about ithwalo lokuphatha umhlaba. And then you find that when you go to Journal Lawa, every now and then there's an archaeological find in Europe, and under the foundations, there's a body that is discovered. Remains of someone. There's a remains of, just this year, there was also another remains of someone under an ancient Roman temple. It's not that utabas, the ones who are at the top, the third degrees, who are part of the main families, They know the secret ukuthi bathwele ngamathamba amakhosi, and lawo makhosi abantu abamnyama, unfortunately. So that's what the foundation of the Brotherhood of the Lodge is. They were founded on the ritual yokuthwala. That's all. From Cain and Abel all the way to Brajay, all the way to our forefathers whose heads are in there in Europe. That's what they were about. So that now brings us to another section of the mystery schools, where, these people tend to have come to inventing a bunch of mystery schools, and the mystery schools have a purpose of inculcating and promoting particular agendas and propaganda. For example, the mystery school of the Holy Roman Catholic Church, the propaganda was to destroy every other tradition to replace. And then after that, the mystery school of Protestant Church and missionary, the agenda of the missionary, it was to take the natives and beat Christianity into them so that they can submit themselves into the abuse of other people. This is why you find, no, but you are saying, Christianity is supposed to be something about peace and whatnot. But when have we seen peace because of Christianity? How come that when Christianity arrives, then peace seems to leave? Yangena Christianity, iphuma ngomnyango ipeace. Yangena Islam, iphuma ngomnyango iChrist. These mystery schools. Yangena Judaism, iphuma ngomnyango kuzana history peace. So it's a very consistent theme that keeps over and over, playing over and over, but you probably don't even notice it, because it's so pervasive and normalized. But that's what the mystery schools are for, and that's why they invent the mystery schools, the brotherhood of the lodges. Abantu abahlalele kakhulu benza ama-rituals, abantu abahlalele kakhulu befunda incwadi nemlando, they know some of the secrets. And the biggest secret holders are not the ones that you think you know. It's these families. These so-called royal families. They are keepers of certain things. This is why Queen Elizabeth will tell you, she would say with a straight face, would know. If you're talking about laba bantu laba bakhethwe, yena akayazi ngisho yedwa umuntu wakhethwe ngasiyona terrorist, because she knew what's really going on. Yeah, of course. When they are constructing huge buildings, someone dies. Of course. Construction workers tend to lose their lives when building without missing a beat all the time. It happens. Now, about 7 like Cape Town. Maybe that's the only reason why it became scandalous, because of that. But if there was 1 or 2, yeah. So they miscalculated. They probably wanted a specific person. That's what it is. And then we go to the mystery school of the protectorates. The Zulu nation, the Swati nation, the what nation, the Sutu nation, the what nation. These mystery schools were now invented to, again, program the natives that this is why you find king being manje carrying swords and knighting people. We were asking yourself, but do they know what this thing means? And of course they do. Umbathole befake lezi zinto lezi zama Freemason. Angazi nisithathe lesithombe. I'm not shocked, but you see on the right, that's pretty much what the guild looks like, and then you find nangapha nangu ubra dog ufake yona. As the medallion lapha neceleni lapha on the chest. It's left hand chest, yeah. It's left hand chest. Yeah. Usazolengisa amanye futhi ama medallions, because that's what the game is about. When you complete certain tasks, yabona njengoba eqeda ukudayisa nje umhlaba ukuthi kungene badle lithium, uzombona he's going to be showing off a bunch of strange costumes and things, something baba wakhe ngazange yenze, because I wonder if Umdlokombane was refusing to be part of this brotherhood of the ring. But this one took the brother of the ring because he was greedy to take the throne. He knew very well ukuthi ayimlingani. But he is so thin. Singamnaka kakhulu yena. Naba Thabo. I spoke about the Maltese Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. The Order of Malta. These ones are tongue-in-cheek, integrated and part of and an offshoot of the Holy Roman Church. This Masonic lodge is literally the Roman Church in a lodge. The cover yabo is the works of goodwill and what, because you find right under them there's something called the Red Cross. Yes, so they tend to operate those things. eThekwini ngiyibona into yabo laphana by the municipal buildings there. They have what bathi bayibiza ngani kambe? St. John's angazi. And they typically have ambulances and fire engines and all those things. They project themselves as part and parcel of responding to crisis situations like the Red Cross, they say John something, but that's pretty much that's the Knights of Malta Freemasonic order. I think khona no ubani lo munye utata wendlo. I think I picked him up as well. No tata he was part of the Lokoza. Beno BROTHERHOod. As I was saying last time, all your archbishops and your cardinals and all these things, they are all part of some order. Ebusuku, they are going to the lodges, and men, they are going to the church. That's what's going. That's the name of the game here. And because the Anglican Church is an offshoot of the Roman Catholic Church, they will tend to be part of the Knights of Malta. And then you wonder, at what point did the Protestants leave the Catholic Church if they still form part of the same brotherhood? No, it was all they were all just pretending, so these are the brotherhoods of the lodge, and these are systems that are put in place for gatekeeping. I'm a Freemason, and I'm pretty sure so injal. But I think the difference between the two of them is that was not too particularly trying to show, but if you are the king of the protectorates, you have to be part of them, because like I said, the true ruler of Amazulu is in England, and that person who's in England is the master at the top of the Freemasons, whichever the order is. Knights of Malta, then he's at the top of King Charles. Previously it was Queen Elizabeth. They all bow to the crown, of England. And then above the English and the different families is the Holy Roman Emperor, whom you call the Pope. And by the way, there are two popes in Rome. There's the white Pope and the black Pope. These are things we can research and know. But I'm trying to illustrate to you ukuthi kulento of gatekeeping. Khona ama brotherhoods that are operating and they are maintaining the status quo. They are making sure ukuthi you cannot move an inch. You want a king? Bazokunikeza a king ezokwenza lento efuna uyibona. Already they've prepared for you a king. Now that's the thing about it is, by the time when you realize that there's a vacancy for a king, they've already prepared for you a king. Bayazi, abayidedeli lento, abayidedeli, and they will look among your children. No, which one? Observe, take care. This one, uzoyenza into esifunayo. I know this one has more capacity, but that one uzoba controllable. Asifake loya. They already know. This is why you find ukuthi seemingly all the rulers and the presidents of Africa since independence are people, if you trace back ama ties abo, they rub shoulders with Abu Abelungu. And the movements that they developed have a hand in its foundation. We talk about the African Natives National Congress all the time here, and it shows itself all the time. No, man, this thing was founded by Abelung, to control the rebellious masses. This is a story of African leaders everywhere. Somewhere down there, kunegenge yabelungu ebapushayo because they form part of the lodge. They are all brothers of the lodge. Bazokhipha bathi no, yazi sinenkinga ngoRamaphosa manje. Awungene bra sibanibani, sizokusupport. And then uthola ukuthi umuntu that you didn't even know existed is now a president of the country. He had all the resources, he had all the media machinery to promote his cause. Now it was uyamthanda, but you've never heard of this man. Omunye uthola nje uyabuthi naba no. Do we really deserve this? But man, come on, how can this person be a president? Nangempela, I'm a president. And only time where they would allow things to get out of hand is when they've run out of their own people to take over. When there's, when you do a good job of weeding out the Freemasons from the political space, then they will let the country collapse into chaos. Yep. Because they'd have no control. Inkinga ibalapho, and then you find ukuthi African countries are destabilized by, intentionally. Arab countries are destabilized, so where you find ukuthi brotherhood of the lodge is in control, it tends to be a bit more stable because the brothers are still in charge. Akudlalwa la kuprotectwa i-interest of the crown. At all times, the interest of the crown is important. Why? Because it goes back to a group Kamelize, the Druids, the Round Table, and Arthur. It goes back to the wolf who was feeding the two Roman twins, the two guys who Romulus has the man. It goes back to that. How many titties does a wolf have? Should be around 8, 6, 8, like a normal, hound. That is symbolism, Muti. There was 8 schools of thought that were involved there. 8 families, 8 brotherhoods. Yeah, Ibo. So, because of these brotherhoods of the lodge and the brotherhoods of the ring, it's important to notice, Uti. It seems like you have no double up. We are covered. I've said it many times. You are covered everywhere. You are covered. And some of the things these people get up to is not just things that of their own head. They exercise and practice very deep magics and occultism. Abadlali. That's what the rituals are for. They will do the rituals that they can do in front of you, but when this is what we are about. Bayakhombisa kancane yabona nje ama-Freemasons they are just showing kancane manje ukuthi no, these are the things we get up to because they are trying to clean their image, because ever since Dan Brown wrote about them, they've been under pressure everywhere. Everyone is curious now. They don't like the thing of curiosity because they like to be hiding in plain sight. They don't hide in the shadows, they hide in plain sight. All the lodges are in front of you. All the Freemasons are in front of you. You can never miss them if you know them. But because you don't know them, they gatekeep. Yeah, gatekeep. But because they are able to gatekeep their knowledge and agenda, you can never pick it up among us. You don't even know what to look for. Ngeke uzibone mesinik lot ungahlala nayo for 15,000 years uzofe ungcwatshe uphinde uvuke ekufeni. Ihle light wakho because you don't know what there's something called Freemasons in there. Angeke uzubone. Yeah, bro. So that's the practice of gatekeeping. The churches do the same. All the churches do the same. They do a lot of gatekeeping. To have access to particular things in the church, you must join umhlangano othile, you must join the umhlangano, you must pay tithes. To have access to a priest ukuze uzongcwatshwa in Catholicism, ukuze ube nompriest ozongcwatshwa from the Catholic Church, your last rights ukuconsecrate kwethuna lakho, you must what? You must be paying your tithes traditionally and regularly. You must be known by the priest of the church. Igama lakho fanele libe khona. It's gatekeeping. They are gatekeeping ukungcwaba umuntu. They are gatekeeping access to heaven. Here you are. We have the sacred knowledge of how to go to heaven. You have to be with us to do that. If you're not with us, angeke singcwabe ngisho ukungcwaba. That's what the church does. That's the business of the church. That's the gatekeeping of the. They are assuming themselves to be gatekeepers of heaven. That's why they talk about how Peter is the one who has the keys to heaven, and they call themselves the Church of Peter. Yeah, what? Because they know what they are the gatekeepers of the concept of heaven or whatever, if it exists. The same thing happens in Islam as well. You have to be taken in and fulfill certain things before the brothers can come in and do you and consider you as part of them. Gatekeeping. So, Buffett, as you go along, building your own things, as we always talk here, let's build our own things. As you go along building your own things, do not forget we are dealing with very old fraternities here. And for us to do anything for ourselves successfully, we must be able to gatekeep everything, including what we are up to now, what our agenda is. Yeah, we must gatekeep. They must not be aware who's who, where, what are they doing. Once we are able to achieve that, then it becomes much easier for us. And the most important part, as I always tell Igang Masese campaign, no, do not think we are going to pull off what we need to pull off by inviting every black person. The thing about people is that normal people don't want to do anything about that involves thinking. They don't want to think. They just don't want to think, shame. Whether white, black, or green, people, the masses, do not want to think. They just want to eat, dance, drink alcohol. Like that. And then go to work. So the way they live their lives is they are waiting for someone to tell them what to do. That's what normal people, the masses are. So do not sit there and think that whatever we need to do is going to involve the masses. It won't. The masses will find themselves compelled to do what we want if we develop the systems for it. Like these people have done. They discovered a system of rituals to perform. Ukuze bakhova abantu, babacindezele, babaphathe. All of them, all the cultures found the rituals to do for themselves. If you remember, you must go to one of the dreams I talk about the cherubim of China. Even the Chinese have their own cultural rituals that they they know that they must perform. And you will find ukuthi from Mao to Xi Jinping, the difference is that Xi probably is part of the brotherhood of some kind of lodge. And he found the secrets that he needed to know. And they performed those rituals, and China became to reinvent itself and re-realize itself and became powerful like it used to be way back in the past. Because the thing of China is very extraordinary if you think about it. Such a short space of time, they have become a global, giant. And they're doing a good job at it. You see? And what I appreciate about them is they are all about their own identity. And they have not forgotten what the Jews did during the opium trade. If you listen to some of the, the dissertations by Chinese lecturers surrounding the Jewish story, you are born, there's a lot of resentment there because of the opium wars and the opium trade. Because those Jewish families, the Sassoons and all of them, they literally destroyed China for their own selfish gain. And the Chinese have not forgotten one bit. That's why the thing of Hong Kong, they don't even consider Hong Kong as part of China. They consider Hong Kong as a part of a Chinese province that needs to be recaptured. That's a challenge. But they don't consider it as China. It's a state, that's a lane, but it's within the state, but it's, I'll find a Vatican. Yeah. And the people who are in charge of Hong Kong, of course, is still that Jewish family. Or two. I think it's two main Jewish families that are in charge of Hong Kong. Because lezi zimpi zindala kakhulu lezi zimpi. Thina we tend to assume ukuthi izinto uqale manje ngoba nakusekhona apartheid into engekho. We are dealing with people who had a score to settle, who knew very well who we were and what we are. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come here. There was no need for them to try and kill us and take the king's heads. Baba wasapha emakhanda amakhosi if there was anything, But they took them and went and buried them in the streets of Switzerland and in France and what have you. Kuningi nje sangikhuluma, but that's what I wanted to talk about today. Brotherhoods, the brotherhood of the lodges and gatekeeping. So be prepared, ukuthi you are going to have to start a very serious secret society, a dangerous one, a very secretive one. Move in silence, and that way we are going to build and rebuild isizwe sabantu abamnyama without hindrance. And in the formative stage of anything, everybody does it with their brothers. That's why I find families, and these families are interrelated, and they've been interpreting for thousands of years, because for them they can establish a trust if everyone is a cousin. Yeah, but that's what it's all about. That's how they keep power. Even the chosen ones, when they're doing their own thing, they make sure, okay, it has to be one of us who's in charge of that one and not in charge of that one. And they gatekeep. They gatekeep all the banking, they gatekeep all the other things. Yeah. So I think that's going to be the last one for gatekeeping. So don't sit there and think that gatekeeping is evil and all these things. It's just how you use gatekeeping that's evil. And anything that undermines the progress and, flourishing of your own people is evil. Into othi mawuyenza icindezela isizwe sakini. That's what true definition of evil is. So it becomes evil nina maniyisebenzisa because you only use gatekeeping against yourselves. Nakhona, you don't do it because you are trying to enhance anything there to make sure that the right people are in there. No. It's just for, I want to be the only black at the dinner party. That's all you are gatekeeping for. I want to be the only black who has amatekisi. Ngifuna kuba yimina kuphela la oyinkuzmalanga yosamatekisi la. So I'm going to kill that one. You are gatekeeping. Mawuthi ufuna uthenga itekisi, angeke nje uvele uthenga itekisi uyoba usomatekisi. Usazoba nenkinga nje yokuthola ilo umzila. Mase uthola umzila usazoba nenkinga yokuthola isitifiketi sokuba usomatekisi. Even if ungasithola usirente base ngakudubula ukuthi lo ucabanga ukuthi ubani. And you are gone for quantum eyodwa. Yeah. So that's that. Let's like the videos, people, and let's do that so that other people can pick it up. Let's not forget to gatekeep. We only have ourselves. Asinabangani thina sabantu abamnyama. Singakhohlwa lokho ngaso sonke isikhathi. So whatever we are thinking, we must always remember ukuthi we are by ourselves. Akekho umuntu uzofika azosilekelela ungafani nathi. This is why you forget this, and that's why you always end up with this open hand policy for everything. Open hand everywhere. And then people take the things that are of value to you. No, but what were you doing to protect the thing and keep it and make sure that it's only for you, it's only for your people? It's so it's so deep. I could even make 16 million videos out of it, because you can even go into money, how we handle our money. How do we gatekeep every single cent of that we earn? Do we gatekeep that money? We don't. We take that money. Abanje bakuyilezi ikhathi nje. Phuma imali eshisiwe kuyothenga imali ukudla kwetofela. Nenyama. Ngiphonelele umunye esa-abattoir wangishuthela ivideo ngikhombisa wathi buka nje ugcileka ngani. Abantu abamnyama bagcina ama-abattoir kodwa bafuna ukufuya inkomo. Ngimna like how ngoba inyama nayithanda pho why ningafuyi ilokhuzana inkomo. Sendlula ukufuya la inkomo ke manje ke nizenzeleke inyama yenu ke lapho nibe nezilaha ke. You're not gatekeeping the man. Even osisi nobuhle babo. Black women don't gatekeep their beauty. They don't. They take their beauty and just utilize it everywhere. Even worse, they take their beauty and try to make it wishy-washy and integrate it to somebody else's beauty. And we find beauty, now everyone has agency over their beauty. If it's not even a joke, this thing. If you think you were gatekeeping your beauty, ask me, I'll ask you, Uguti, how much money are black people making out of your beauty compared to what the other people are doing? Because of your beauty, LVMH is making billions every year. If you don't know LVMH, then you need to do some research there. Find Wuto, Nestle's, no bad ban, but own and beauty products. They are making a killing of the beauty of black people. And it's, the thing about it, It's even free marketing. You just take your beauty and market for everybody else who actually even hates you. Indlela nje that you are so unaware. Special awareness, it's incredibly bad. You use your beauty to the thing and to advertise for LVMH lapha nifakada lama oh Louis Vuitton nonanda kona le brand le yaka Fortune le FF bangazi yini indletho le yakhohlwa iluwela oh luwela nani necathulo zakhona lezana ne-shoes zakhona neswenke you are taking your beauty and you are marketing for Fortune brand. The Fortune group is killing it just because black people are so unaware what they are doing. Jaha ukuthi ngigqoka isicathulo sika 6,000 uyakhohlwa ukuthi no, these people are profiting out of your beauty. Shaya ma 15-inch 16-inch well, you are not making the killing there. Now if you were gatekeeping your beauty, then you will be the ones making a lot of money from it. People must pay you to try and look like you. But you are paying other people who want to look like you to try and look like them. Upside down consciousness. Singakhuluma kuze kuse bakithi singaze kuse nje sikhuluma because lezi inkinga eziningi nami ngingedwa bakithi. But I love the fact that I speak it into the universe, kube umthetho, and then you start seeing people who are starting to make the same comments that I'm making, and some of them even analyzing further in some of the topics. And then you're like, nah, okay. But good, let the realizing happen. It must continue.